Welcome to Mr. Marr's 3-Minute History, quick summaries about a range of different historical topics. Today we're looking at one of the most famous figures of the 20th century, who was Rosa Parks, who was a key figure in the campaign against racism in the United States of America. Rosa Parks was born in 1913 in Alabama, and like many poor black children of that time, she often lived a reasonably poor life. This was especially the case after her family split up. Although Parks attended school, she eventually was forced to leave in order to act as a carer for her mother and grandmother, who were both ill. Like many other black people, Parks was witness to different forms of racism all throughout her life, including limitations on when she could and couldn't use buses and public transport. After marrying her husband Raymond, who was involved in the civil rights campaign, Parks herself became an activist trying to promote rights for black people in America. The most famous event in Rosa Parks' life was certainly that of the Montgomery Bus Boycott. Racist rules were applied, which meant that black people did not have the same rights as white people on buses. This included being forced to stand and sit in certain sections of buses, including if white people wanted the seats. Parks, like many other black people, hated these rules and had been affected by them at different times in her life. And as such, in 1955, she decided she'd had enough. One day, she was sitting down on the bus when a white man got on. The driver told 4 black people to move, and 3 of them did, but Parks refused. Even when she was threatened with arrest, she still declined to move, and eventually she was in fact taken away by the police. This led to a major boycott. Eventually, many of the civil rights campaigns in America decided they would make Montgomery a focus, and so all black people in the area were encouraged to not use the buses. They would either walk places, or they even set up their own type of taxi system. As a result of this, the economic pressure being brought on the bus companies and also legal challenges, eventually the bus companies were forced to desegregate and allow black people to use buses. This was undeniably Rosa Parks' most famous action in her life, but it wasn't the only one. After the boycott, she continued to be involved in different political campaigns, although faced many problems herself. She was involved in the Selma to Montgomery marches, she campaigned for the rights of political prisoners, and she also later in her life set up educational initiatives to try and support young black people. She also faced problems though, because she found it hard to get and keep employment, especially in the immediate aftermath of the Montgomery Bus Boycott. Parks' role in life was significant, and her death, which came in 2005 at age of 92, was marked as a national event all across America. Even the hearse which transported her coffin was in fact a copy of the bus she had refused to move from, and she received a variety of different awards. And Condoleezza Rice, who at that time was the US Secretary of State and a black woman, famously spoke about how she believed without the actions of people like Parks, she could not have possibly hoped to be in the job she was in. Parks' actions inspired a generation of black and white people across America, and she remains one of the most significant figures of American history.